Audio is on.
Alrighty.
Theoretically,
Theoretically, what, John?
the audio is on.
I see it. I
Yeah,
see it.
it's
being
over
on.
there. I saw you walking around, so we should be,
Oh, you're definitely on.
yeah.
That's a help right here. If I do this. I love dead air.
Well, we're trying to figure out, I
That's
was trying to
okay.
see
That's
what,
okay. No,
has
that's
anybody
good.
said anything yet? Have you heard
Uh,
any questions? I think what
I see
we were
5
asking.
watching now,
got it.
so
Okay.
We gotta see. Help.
I think we talked about them, if they had some questions and stuff, maybe they would, submit those. So if anybody's listening, if you,
Give people a minute.
yeah,
And,
so they can start connecting.
mm-hmm.
Cause I think I said about an hour.
And I need to go ahead and post a link on Facebook. Means I have to go to this rigmarole, you know.
Now bear with us. Well, Patty and them's, are they in Israel now too? Patty and,
I think they're on their
I
way.
know they were going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miriam said something about extra joy today because this is leap day.
Oh, that's
What do
right.
you think about that? We got one extra day this month, right, Brother Baby?
Uh-huh.
Is that what it is? Well, they have to, right? They gotta add a day in so, every so often to catch up?
Every 4 years,
Yeah.
You gotta throw in an extra day. Balance the books. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
That's the difference between being on the Gregorian calendar and being on the old, lunar calendar that, ancient Israelis used.
Is that what it is?
How we go, Dave?
Yeah, we're up.
We're up and going.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just post this here.
All right.
Wow, it's a beautiful day. It's
Yeah.
really a beautiful day. We haven't had many of these lately.
No,
The
we're really so dry
rain.
after rain. We got blessed
I
with a
know.
bunch of rain, but y'all get a lot down here too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
All that rain that y'all had
Yeah.
came this way.
well, Brother Beatty was out there doing, like I said, doing work at the house and fixing up my barn for me and everything. I know he waited mud for several days,
Right.
but he got it done.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So we got people chiming in now, so we're good.
Okay. Leslie says
Yeah.
we can't hear you.
Right. Right. Because I had it turned down.
Oh, Leslie.
Hey,
There you
Leslie,
I mean, I didn't have it turned down all the way. I just had it because
Yeah.
we weren't really saying anything. Okay, so
we're up and running.
should be everything should be good.
Okay. There we go. I see us now.
Okay,
Let me turn it on.
you're
Am I going?
okay. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Leslie said she posted something, a question on Facebook. Leslie, you.
I haven't seen.
Have to repost it, huh?
You have to repost.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing to do.
Yeah, Leslie, try that again, will you, dear? We'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Oh wait, it is
After eating that
up.
food, though, I forgot what we talked about this morning.
Yeah, we drove.
So what was that? It was chili, right?
Yeah, it was white chicken chili.
White
Sherry
chicken.
says we got chili, and I'm like, where's the chili at?
You're thinking of the type I make with kind of reddish and
Yeah.
yeah,
all
yeah,
the-
Yeah,
and
the
stuff like that.
traditional. Yeah,
Yeah.
beef.
Yeah,
Yeah. I make that
beans and
sometimes.
stuff.
Yeah. Totally different thing there. I'm talking about.
Oh, Leslie said I was wondering if Ronnie has Prager's National Bible. No, I don't. I can look into that. I use several different books that I have in my library. A lot of them you've got right here that Ross has, and of course then the different Torah writings, Hirsch, Hertz. Then there's Hirsh.
Commentaries
Yeah,
and so
then
on
I
and so
have
forth.
like the Midrash says, a lot of different commentaries. Like I forgot the let's see, the ones up here. I think they're like pink, the Art Scroll series maybe.
Yeah.
I use some of those, and actually I use a computer program too that helps out with the. I can use JPS edition that I can say next to any other translation I want to look at, but. I can do word searches with definitions, and Ross has got the same same program. I kind of got it, from him, and I purchased it, and it works really good because you can see
Side by side.
yeah, you can see side by side, but you can also see the words. You can highlight the word, and it'll show you the original Hebrew,
Yeah,
and then of course it shows you the variations. And what gets me is how that word was used in different ways, and so you could see where translators could run into an issue. I think like,
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's commentaries, it's people's opinions and
Right.
so forth, and, nothing terribly bad or wrong about that, but, you gotta stick strictly with the word,
Right.
if that's what you believe.
well, look, you look at Job. Remember where they say, and I think I've talked about this before. Remember it says that says tell her to curse God and die, or she tells him whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Just
word
go ahead
curse is
and-
Barak. It's not curse. I mean, you read it. It's
Really?
Barak.
I've never looked
Bless
at it.
God and die.
Really?
Yeah, look at
Wow.
it. But maybe I think the translators maybe they wanted a negative connotation, so maybe they did something there to say it mean it from a negative point. But if you think about it, I mean, God did all this stuff for him, right? And just all the stuff you're going through. I mean, how many times have you heard other people say, "Well, you're going through all this stuff," and they just bless God and go on? Well, one rabbi said,
I'm gonna have to look at that one.
but look it up. Look it
have
up.
to look
But
it
I
up.
was saying, one rabbi said, and I don't remember, this is years ago, I just, in my mind, it's back there in a little part. He says, who in their right mind would write the word curse and the tetragrammaton side by side?
You gotta-
Miriam-
You start
Miriam
talking about
says
the right mind there.
They're right, yeah.
Miriam
Yeah.
says it's good to see John
Yeah.
back, and I told her he's
Oh,
he's
yeah.
here for a little while. He's
Yeah.
he's eating lunch with us.
He's one of the pillars of the post here, right?
Yes,
He's
he
gonna
is.
hang with
Yes,
us as
he
long as
is.
he
Hanging
can.
on the post.
Yeah.
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 John had pretty, I would consider major
Yeah.
back surgery month ago, 3 weeks ago, something
Yep,
like that, right?
exactly, just about,
This is the first I've seen or talked to you. You tried to call me several times. I'm like, ain't talking to him. I would have breathed the wrong way, and he'll say, "Well, I was talking to Dave Cole, my back went out." And I'm like, "I ain't doing it."
yeah.
But it's good to see you.
Haven't been out of the house. for a
Yes,
while.
it is good to see you, John.
This morning, Faith would have it,
Speedy recovery.
or as I like to say, Faith would have it. I left my keys at home. Got halfway here, and so I called John up and said, "I need to borrow your keys." So I got to see you.
Unfortunately, Sherry asked me to come to lunch, so.
Yeah.
I unlocked the place. She called
Fortunately.
and Said, we forgot our key to learn something, so I was like, okay, well,
Okay.
come on.
So here you are. So
Okay, Ronnie.
back don't
Yes,
go
got a
out
question?
now. Don't-
I do.
Okay.
And this is something that I've been pondering. You brought it up, why gold? And you
Gold.
said maybe God is setting up, he's getting ready for redemption, getting something set up for redemption.
Right.
So when I think about the golden calf, I think you made a reference, like
Yeah.
if people, and this in my mind made me think of organized religion. It's like you have, people want to see something, like you said, they want to see something in this realm that they can
Right.
relate to.
Tangible, something 3D,
So-
something.
So if they saw that part of the sanctuary, the requirement God was making was gold, they could have got it in their heads that it's the gold thing, worshiping the creation more than the creator. And I think that's what organized religion can do too. It's like you start getting into the outward appearance of things and get so caught up in that you start thinking this is the thing, and it's not. It's what the thing means inwardly, and
Well, who all could see the gold anyway?
yeah.
I mean, like makes a high
Yeah.
priest or the people that put all the things together, they moved
Yeah.
it in there, etc. But they're the only ones that saw this. But you know, I'm like you. To me, I think God wanted a theocracy only. Mm-hmm. He didn't want. Now this is me again. He didn't want a monarchy, like a king, and all this other stuff.
Didn't want a temple.
He didn't need all that.
Yeah.
If the people had humbled themselves, you know, literally, and just, hey, look, this is the way it is. This is our God. But everybody wants the tangible thing. Like they want to, like,
You want to be
how-
like the other nations.
yeah.
They wanted to
or
have a king.
They
They
depend
wanted to
upon their
have a-
pocketbook compared to having faith in God. I mean, how many people
Yes.
really depend upon God? I mean, I was thinking about this. I've got friends that they don't have a job and one thing after another, but you know what? They make it. They do find a little job here, find a little job there, but they make it because God's got something there for them, you know? And I look at it like this. It's not like the name over the door anyway, per se, because there are people, I think, in all these walks. And look at us.
Yeah.
Look what we came through. We didn't have this truth that we have now 10 years ago. I didn't. But God still was helping me. They was looking over me and providing for me
had the faith.
and do these different things. I think God saw down the road, Mark, compared to like, well, what am I at this point in time? I mean, I'm nothing. I am literally nothing. And God is everything. So I think if we give God the credit for all, and I don't want to take this away from you, what you were saying, but I think that's the whole thing. Like these other, like in Egypt, they look at all the different gods they had.
Yeah.
And they wanted something, maybe. Maybe that's why they made this decision.
It even goes further. I like the way Sherry used the term organized religion. I'd like to throw in even the unorganized religions. The people that are fed up basically, or never really got into however it is, but they form their own religion in their own minds.
A
so to
man-made
speak.
religion.
Well, no.
No?
What I'm trying to get at is an organized a religion, so to speak, but I'm on my own here and I just don't know what to trust. I don't do religion organized.
Right.
But I'm spiritual and I wanna form my own religion, so to speak. Not a new religion, but I mean it's
yeah,
kinda like
I had a
feel
loved
the right
one.
thing to do, my
Yeah.
heart this way or heart that way.
Or I pray.
So-
Yeah.
The idea that I think Ronnie was touching on this morning was like all these tangible things, beautiful as they are, they don't really mean a whole lot. I mean, God's there anyway, whether there's a box or not.
Right.
Yeah.
God's still there.
Yeah, and so why do we as humans have to have that
Well, I like
Thing.
the comment that you made,
thing?
when you said shiny stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot of people are like bugs, you know, it's like, ooh, the light, it's so pretty, and, you know, hit the zapper.
I mean, they got birds that do that, right? They go around collect crows, love shiny things.
So
Yeah.
there are people who like shiny things,
Right.
you know, glitzy stuff.
Don't you think it takes more faith, though, to be like Abraham? When you don't see, but you still do it?
I don't know how many times I've heard.
You know, you just know something.
Yeah,
You know Jehovah's
Yeah.
there with you.
exactly.
You don't need to see anything.
Right.
You
Exactly.
just know it.
Right.
That takes a lot of faith.
Yeah, and it's not a thing where you do that. It's usually a thing where you can't do. You're stuck,
Yeah.
and something miraculously happens, or some step is made in that to let you know that you're not by yourself down here.
Right.
I mean, you can just still deny it. You still could say, fate.
Yeah. Use other
Things
terminology,
worked
but
out.
still.
Yeah, things worked out. Whatever. No.
But
Well,
don't
in
you
Abraham's
find?
case, I mean, God did eventually talk to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I mean, he was fairly straightforward guy, you know, and you know, he didn't need a lot of conversation and nurturing, but what was it, 15, 25 years, something like that, till God spoke to him again?
Happy with a rock with for a
He
pillow.
was,
you
he
know?
was good with the first conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, even when they
But
said,
God knew that Abraham was going to teach his children. He knew. He's like when he said, "Shall I hide this thing from Abraham that I'm going to do?" Because he knew before Abraham even did anything what he was going to do.
So I think around this table, we have a pretty much singular view of this. I don't think we, you know, beating around the bush, so to speak. Religion is not always great, you know. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking, what with this information, how can we apply that or use it for the movements that are going on right now? This day, happens to be the first time in 4 years this day's happened on the Gregorian calendar, but I mean, how can we go forward with this? How can we say, well, should we go get our gold collected and fabricate something and replicate something and do this or do that? And probably get shot for saying that, but
You talking
I
about
think
that's what we're
it's a
supposed
good
to do
thing.
here.
making, you mean like
Preparations?
enlarging
there's nothing wrong. Yeah,
the
There's-
number of people who come to the truth? Is that what you're talking about? Or
Yes, I
like
don't
building
know.
a church,
I don't know.
for better.
I'm basically
term.
talking about, you know, religion in general. Now, what I'm not talking about is people that, like the Temple Institute, you talked about that. What's the guy, Prager, I can't remember his name, that does the half shekel.
Reuben Prager.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. The whole idea of the half shekel, and that's what we're working good, but it's not something we worship. It's not
No,
something
no.
we gotta have, or we don't have God. We don't have that, you don't have God.
Okay,
Right.
so you mentioned
Yeah,
worship,
that's not what I'm saying.
and this is what I was bringing up to you about worship. How my viewpoint now of worship has changed. When God told Moses, "Tell Pharaoh, let my people go, so that they may worship me," it was serve
Exactly.
God. So how can we serve God? And this answers your question about, well, what should we do to bring this out? It's what you touched on, enlightenment. It's that as we receive from Jehovah knowledge, truth, and then we get understanding and wisdom, all of these attributes, we become more enlightened. And that is where, if we are in the world, that spreads light into darkness. And to me, that's our purpose, is to plant the kingdom of heaven on earth. And how do we do it? It's through this relationship with Jehovah. And it's and that leads me to the question I had about, do you know how long from the Exodus from Egypt were they in the wilderness before this portion happens?
No, the time frame? No,
Had
no.
they been like wandering a while and then God says, "Make me a sanctuary"?
I know he said do it.
Yeah. But it seems like they had been in the wilderness a while. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, it's time for a sanctuary. So there is some kind of progression here.
Well, I
With
think
the
from the time he
Israelites.
said it until the time it was done.
Yeah.
They're still moving. They didn't just stop there.
Right.
I'm gonna build it right now, because I mean, you had to gather all this stuff together. Look at, they did the gold. We talked about the wood during lunch.
Yeah.
Because they had to cut all these. Somebody had to cut the trees down. I mean, we didn't have a planer mill out there, did we, Brother Beatty?
Right.
We didn't have one of them.
They had
out there,
their
right?
methods, huh?
We had to cut them down and get them all shaped, and so even gathering this stuff. If you look at the amount of stuff that's there, I mean, they got to go find all these skins too, right? So all this took time from the time
So-
he said it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Miriam's got a question. Ronnie, why do you think Jehovah was precise in measuring of the temple?
Oh,
of
good
Zion?
question.
Perhaps to discourse man in the building of it, and that's not what he wanted. The way I read this question is it's kind of like the king, the Israelis wanted a king, the Jews wanted a king, Hebrews, however you want. And clearly in the text, God didn't necessarily want us to have a king like all the other nations.
Right.
But he
It
said
took
if
a
you're gonna
little
have it,
while.
if
I mean,
you're
first of
gonna,
all, they were in slavery, and then they
Right,
got
right.
got drawn out of that, and time went on, and I think at some point in time, that they were like, yeah, everybody else is, we need somebody to tell us what to do.
But to answer the question, God said, yeah, you can have a king, but here's what the king's gonna do, and he pretty much told a list of things that, bad stuff's gonna happen because of this.
Well, no, I
You know,
mean, if
and
the
in
king,
Solomon.
if they actually had a king that did what God said the king needs to do.
Yes.
It
It
wouldn't have
would've been
anything bad
good.
happen,
Yeah.
but you're never gonna
Would've been
find
good.
somebody that'll
But-
do all that.
But
Jehovah
in the
wanted
prophet.
to be the king. He
Yeah,
was the
exactly,
king.
and the prophet,
Yeah.
and the prophet was upset about it, and God, they basically said, they didn't deny you,
They
they denied me.
Yeah.
But look what
I'm the
Miriam,
king.
Yeah, that's a
So the
good
answer to the
point.
question is, why was it so precise and why was it hard to do? Why did everything have to be this way and that way and that way and this way? Didn't have to be any of that.
Well, no, he did. He said, you follow the pattern exactly
Right,
as I
right.
told you on the mountain.
right.
So there's a pattern, and I know Ross doesn't like
You're
talking
missing the
types and
point.
shadows, but I think
Sorry,
the
Ross,
pattern's
don't be listening.
important. The pattern's important.
It is.
It means
If you're
something.
gonna do it,
And
this is the way you're gonna
like
do it.
Jodell was teaching on, we are the face of God is hidden from us. There are
Right.
things that it's not the time to understand them yet. And I think the precise pattern of the temple is for us maybe not to understand completely now, but it will be revealed.
well, I tell you,
Or it was something to just keep us busy.
That's exactly
well,
my point.
yeah, I think so
Exactly.
too, but also
If
you
you're
think of
gonna do
this,
it, this is the
they
way
gotta
you
take
do it.
this thing down and move it. So they had the precise measurements there at that point in time, and she alludes to,
The-
Miriam does, the sanctuary as far as the temple design. But a lot of layout, my understanding is very similar, but the other concept that, going back to what y'all said, we didn't need it in the first place.
Right,
Yeah, we
exactly.
didn't need it, but since you're gonna do it, I'm gonna
That's
tell
right.
how it's gonna be done.
This is how you're
Yeah.
gonna do it.
But if they're
And
moving
it's
around in the
precise.
desert, I mean, we need something like a portable, It's like Brother Beatty, somebody, he's gonna get him
Mobile temple there.
a truck and a trailer to pull around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a whole lot easier to pull a truck and a trailer around than some big house up down their highway, So maybe
Well,
that,
eventually
that-
they had the hard side,
yeah, down the
building.
road, yeah,
but
Who was it? Who
since
said the
70
temple?
AD,
Temple.
there hasn't been a temple.
right.
So how important is that temple to the Creator?
Hey, good question. Now, Papa, you asked
Is
me.
it important to him or is it important to us?
Right, you got it.
Well, that's the whole key.
What was Jeremiah the prophet, the temple,
At
the
some
temple,
point
the
in
temple?
time, he said, David wanted to build a temple. And then after thinking about it, Samuel came back and said, there's a problem here.
Yeah,
God said he lived in a tent the whole time he was in the desert. Why does he need a temple?
right.
Yeah.
I think this can also allude back to the preciseness, when Jehovah gave Moses the 10 words. He was precise in that.
Yeah.
There wasn't no leeway in it, just like the preciseness of everything he told here. God's not a God of something that's scattered.
Random,
Random.
yeah.
He's a very precise God. And if he tells you to do something, he don't mean, an inch this way and an inch that away. This is the way you gotta do it.
Yeah. Like,
And
Laura,
it could have been because it was being transported. God, in His infinite wisdom, knew a man could only carry this much weight, or
I'll put it together and take it back down.
Yeah.
You got the board sitting there, the mortise and tenon type deal. When you got the caps on top, they put them together. They put that little piece on top, and it holds it together. Easy to take down. Pull off the top. Pull the board.
How many of y'all remember the little deal that Ross and several of us got going, the synagogue without walls? Remember
Yeah, I
that?
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a virtual temple, basically. This is a place to meet, a place that God can. We did it online. That's what we call it, temple, the synagogue without walls.
There's a play up in the Ozarks called Shepherd of the Hills. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it.
Well, it's a really good play, and one of the commentators at the end, he says this. He says, we build all these immaculate churches or structures and everything, but we don't even worship. God didn't ask us to build a $5 million church, per se. He didn't ask us to build a $5 million temple.
We'll fly over in one church
Yeah.
and build another church,
Yeah. It's just, he said, I wanted you to do this.
or church split and form a different church.
Yeah, well,
You
let's
know,
get to all
you know,
kinds of stuff like that.
You know, I
yeah.
know you can't really say church and religion, but that's kind of what I'm saying here.
But you said something a while ago too. You said something about that individual out there.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to these programs or come back and listen to them later, and they're by themselves. You know, we've got some couples like in Oklahoma, so I got some good friends, you know, that come to the meetings out there in different places, Washington State, etc. A lot of those are by themselves. I live in Canton, Mississippi. You know, I'm basically by myself.
Sure.
You know, Brother Beatty, he comes over.
I
we
went to
talk
your
about,
house one time,
Yeah, you've been to
yeah.
my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's like the only house on the road. I'm just. Yeah, I'm
but
messing
the
with you.
thing is, you're out there by yourself, but God's still there.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times we get despondent, or we get to the place where, well, look at all this stuff. It's just me by myself, and God's probably kicking us in the back, going,
would it all-
"What? I'm right here. What's your deal?"
And look, they've got some beautiful churches in this world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you go over in Europe, even in New Orleans, closest one here.
We only got one
Baton
less in
Rouge, you
Europe
got
when
some
it
pretty
burned
beautiful.
down.
Yeah, I mean, you would think when you go in those things that you could feel the presence of God there, you know. But that's religion. That's the religion I'm talking about. That I'm not really playing up to. I mean, God's no more there than He is anywhere else. You know,
Exactly.
I don't know how else
But
to
I
put
think
it.
sometimes humans would like to have a special place
Right.
where they can sit and talk and think.
Feel good.
Which it's
And
kind of a
community.
place of
And
quiet.
community.
It's a holy
too.
place.
Yeah.
Not
Take your
necessarily,
shoes. Take your shoes off.
yeah,
Too.
a holy place, but a place where you can clear your mind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is in a busy world, or when you're surrounded by hundreds, thousands of other screaming people around you. It's hard to find a place where you can sit in quiet and think.
And there's inherently nothing wrong with that. But if that's all you do, if you go find a mountain somewhere to sit on top of and be alone with God, what good are you?
Well, I mean, you need to do that every once in a while.
I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
Well,
Well, what Moses did? Didn't he go out in the desert for a while?
Yeah.
Why did he go out in the desert?
talk to God.
He needs peace and quiet, right? He needs some
Hello.
peace and quiet. We need the same thing. You know, I was talking to my wife, Barry, and we'll get to your question in just a
Somebody, I
second.
don't know.
But we were talking the other day, and I spoke about the energy of the soul, the God spark, and all that kind of stuff. How many of y'all, when you outside, you walk around and you put your feet, no shoes on, put it in the dirt? Yeah.
Because I live in the country.
Well,
gotta be careful
the,
about
the
going
thing,
doing
the
that.
thing about it is, this is maybe a little far-fetched, but think about grounding of the body.
Right.
The energy parts of the body. I mean, it all comes together, one way or another. Your quiet place. I got a place I go to. Once I get some land in the country, and I'll pull my truck out there, and I'll sit there, and ain't nobody but me and God and the birds and the trees, and it's like, man, you know, I think we all need that. I mean, even though God's all here, we try to get the world away from us so we can hear that voice.
Well, yeah, you got to ask,
I like you,
does
Miriam.
God need
Yeah,
that?
with their
or
bread,
do you need
candlestick,
that,
and
you know?
incense.
Look at the next one.
That's,
Well, I think God-
Travel.
God's more
Tribal
likely to
meeting.
have
Yep.
that
You go, Miriam.
yeah.
for our sake, because He cares for us.
Well, let me ask you this question, guys, and y'all
Yeah.
I want your opinions.
I mean, he makes beautiful flowers in the middle of nowhere where nobody can see them.
The
Well,
stuff,
you can see 'em.
the stuff we're doing right now, I think has more bearing on people because we're discussing the issues.
Sure.
We're open. Everybody gets to say something if they want to. And stuff like that. Because if you get up there in an organized meeting place,
Or even unorganized.
well, I mean, even no offense, but even here, even when I'm teaching, I'm telling you my opinion at that point in time. But we need communication. Communication is not just me talking or you talking. What is it?
It's talking and listening.
Talking, listening, and comprehending what's
Yeah.
being said. And I think, and that's why, Miriam, I love what you just said. A tribal meeting. Yeah. Oh yeah, because we're doing this
Commu-
stuff. We're learning.
Yeah.
Communication is a tough one. You know, we got the story in the Bible of the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
you know?
Oh Lord.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
for us to sit around and communicate, we struggle with that.
We
We
do.
all do.
How to communicate.
Me and my wife struggle with talking to each other. We just
Oh, yeah.
misunderstand each other. We say things. We don't assume we can read each other's minds.
Oh,
But
really?
Also, like Sherry said, what Sherry had alluded to is that, you know, God does things in his own ways. For instance, a few months ago, I was riding around on my bike, as I used to like to do.
Aw,
for-
you'll do
for
it
the
again.
operation.
You'll do it
And
again.
then, wife and I were riding, and we would go down through Royal Street, and, you know, we would pass the Temple Sinai. And so, you know, I would think, man, it'd be nice to be able to have the temple to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I would think that, you know, I'd remember what Samuel said to David, and basically, you know, it was God saying it's not time. And, the time's not right. So, I mean, he decides when the time is right.
Sure.
And so, I have you know, none of us know when that is.
Right.
He knows what it is. And we get a cue, and that's like that morning I got up and went down and talked to him about us getting back in Temple Sinai. And they were like, yeah, okay, no problem. And here's the keys. And
It's almost like
it.
it threw the key at you.
Well, not exactly. But it didn't take long. I mean, they contacted the Julius Freehand people, but the point is,
Sure.
is that we were able to access having the temple.
And
Is it important to God, or is it important to us, or maybe it's important to both?
Yeah.
You know, because, I don't know. Now, to me, when I go in there and I sit down, and, being kinda like the janitor, so to speak, I go in there quite often, and then if I sit down in there with nobody around, to me, it's a special place.
I got you.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
sanctified because it was created for a purpose.
Yeah, but to me, it's just
Yeah.
a special place.
And it is special. It's supposed to be special.
Wasn't
And
as
that's what
special as
bothered
when I was
me.
fixing one of the toilets, but
Oh, yeah. But that's what bothered me, and why I was so grateful that Jehovah used you to make this possible, is that this place wasn't being used for the purpose that it was designed for. And that was for our community of believers, Jewish people at the time, to come together to worship God and to form
And again,
a community.
us going there, somehow or other, he decided that was the appropriate time,
Yeah,
not us.
yeah.
So, and so we're in, you know,
Yeah.
and so we'll see how that goes. If you look back through the scriptures, the people of Israel were given certain things.
Sure.
And then they were taken away. Well, you gotta ask yourself, why were they taken away? They had the 10 words, those disappeared. Why were they disappeared? Well, weren't they following them? You know, they had temples, had 2 of them, both of them gone. Why is that? They weren't using them properly. So,
Or they looked at him in the wrong.
So you have
Yes.
to appreciate the gifts that we receive from the Creator and respond accordingly, or at some point in time, you know, I would think his attitude is if you can't act appropriately or behave yourself, it's like with children, then you lose it. It's just like, you know, children that my kids, you know, I would do the same thing. If they couldn't do something appropriately, I'd take it away from them. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it's just a different perspective, I don't know, that I have on it.
I think it's a good one. But you know, you wonder maybe if we lift up the temple up over the Creator, we've gone in the wrong, to me, I think we've gone in the
Sure,
wrong
I agree
direction.
with you.
Miriam had a question, let me go back to that, Miriam, I'm sorry, dear. But you asked about, were certain things in, like the candle, the bread and stuff like that, in the sanctuary in the wilderness? Yeah. It's my understanding, yes, those things were there. Once they were built, they could put them together and utilize those, because they wouldn't be complete, and they couldn't do what they needed to do unless those things were there. One other thing, John, what you said, the timing, you know, and I touched on it today, the illumination. And this is J. David Davis. I don't know if y'all know him or not, but
I've heard his name. I think
very intellectual
we actually
gentleman.
met him one
I talked with
time.
him the other day.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. But he said this, and it makes a lot of sense. Illumination comes when we need it, and when we can handle it. And it goes. And sometimes people, like Sherry got an illumination like yesterday on something. Okay, and I think I touched on it. But did everybody get that same illumination you got? I don't know that. And but they may not be ready for it, one. And could they accept it at that point in time? Because there's things, I know how many of us have had something in the Bible we're like, wow, this makes perfect sense. No wonder I don't believe this anymore. We got that illumination, that knowledge, that understanding that we didn't have before. What do you think?
Wow.
All right.
Yep.
And I think you're right about lifting things up above the Creator. I think that's one of the reasons why, on top of his age and everything, he did a good job for a very, very long time. But Moses wanted to go into the promised land. And God told him, don't ask me again. If Moses had crossed over, Moses had led them the whole way. At some point in time, I think the people would have started looking at Moses above the Creator.
That's a good point.
Very good
I
point.
think that, you know, his time had come, it was time for somebody else. And that's where Joshua stepped up to the plate. And it's like a lot of things, you know, you can't put anything above the Creator.
That's
And if
right.
you do, you're just asking for trouble.
Well, isn't that what happened with the Second Temple? I mean, you know, you pointed out that the Spirit of God wasn't there anymore, but they were still going through all the motions and all the religiosity.
Well, yes
And
and
their
no,
heart.
from the Roman standpoint, when they leveled it, from the Roman perspective, they were perfectly okay with any country under the jurisdiction of Rome practicing whatever faith they wanted to, as long as they
Right.
paid their taxes and did what Rome
Right.
said, blah, blah, blah. But they started using the temple for political venues. And that's when Rome said, no, that's not gonna happen. And that's when they sent in the legions to smash everything.
Miriam says, the illumination bless the spirit, soul, or body? What do y'all think?
I think it's all three. I think it starts in the
Yes.
spirit, and then your whole mind then it affects your body.
Well, you said something really, I think was very profound and awesome taking a while ago because of the light in us.
Yeah.
Okay, who else is going to see the light? I mean, I know Judah has a place, okay? No doubt in my mind, you know, and we've got to be taught, but we've been being taught for a while. Who else has the light now?
I will daydreaming over you. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's, I'm just saying, who has the light?
Judah has it to a certain degree
Yeah.
in the knowledge and in some, I guess, different, you know, Judah has different, just like Christianity has different sects and denominations and beliefs and everything, but
Well, they
I
were
do-
to be a light to the world,
Yeah.
but once they show that light and you accept that light, then answer his question, who are the light? The people that accept it now have that responsibility, the same as Judah did.
And if we become more illuminated, we get away from the blind part and we see what this is, then this is Ronnie Fulcher 1 and 4. Okay? Then our light is going to shine,
Well,
not religion's light.
right.
so the old analogy, and I learned this in Christendom,
Go ahead.
is the shininess of it. You reflect His light,
Yeah,
and so on and so
yeah.
forth. And I'm just kind of tying together the gold here.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably one of the first
The shiny
mirrors with the
thing.
shiny gold.
Well, sure.
Smooth.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can- you
It
can see
could.
reflection.
It could be.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
It does look pretty.
You know, silver would do it too, right? You
Yeah.
could do silver, but, you know,
Any flashy thing, you can catch a good fish with a flashy thing.
Or a crow.
yeah.
But the reflection of the light, you know. So
Yeah. And Mary
who
said
has
something.
that light? That's whoever. It's God is the light.
Right.
You know, or you're a reflection of that light.
Well, you know,
And I know
Mary's,
that's so close to Christendom. No, 'cause
well, you know, like I said this morning, the
I
other
don't
day,
know.
there's certain things
I
that are taught
don't have
later
a
in the
problem with that,
writings.
I'm just saying.
They're not bad at all. I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're scripture. That's not
Right,
what I'm saying.
right.
But there's some good sayings in there.
Sure.
That agree with
No,
Torah.
Yeah, that agree with Torah. It's not, and now some of the stuff now I can't go with.
Right.
See, Mary says if Torah is the light, how about not just Mary, how about the understanding of the Torah?
Yeah.
Kinda like a pointer.
Yeah, the Torah
Pointers.
points a lot of stuff. You're
Kinda
good,
like a
very
dog, when you
good.
have a pointed dog, you point over there, and the
Right.
dog's only looking at your fingertip instead of,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
stupid
one of
rat
them.
terrier is supposed
So-
to obey hand signals.
Yeah.
but who gives off the
that
light
hand?
and all this stuff? God does, right? If we can build, and I don't know if you can use this analogy, can we build ourselves? I mean, through God, through understanding of the words, so that this light illuminates.
The light within you,
Yeah, the light within us. Because, like whether you call it the Holy
whatever that
Spirit,
means,
Holy
yeah,
Ghost,
whatever it means.
the more we have of, the more, and we used to go back
Yeah.
to the word God spark we have, the more we can, if we let God shine through us.
Leslie Simler has a good point. And Leslie, I would have to agree with you that what I've learned listening to Ross teach is man is a living soul, like the breath of Jehovah.
Exactly.
He breathes life into man and he becomes a living soul.
That's right.
And so then there is the Spirit of God. So,
Well, that was
you
the
can
same
see that,
Genesis,
you can see
right?
that in Ezekiel
Yeah.
37 with
Yeah.
the bones.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
come back
all
together.
they're laying until the breath comes into them.
Yeah.
Then they stand up and they're,
Yeah.
Well, animals have a life force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I mean, they have to have the energy, God
Mm-hmm.
spark of some type. But there's got to be a difference. Our understanding, this is me, Ronnie Fulcher,
Okay.
1 in 5, okay? There's got to be an understanding here that we
Y'all
have
might
that they
have to
don't
debate
have.
this a little bit. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's just it's my opinion,
I got you.
But they have because they do they have a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you got pets and that, stuff like that? They have memories and stuff like that.
They have a subconscious.
They do. They have
because my
instinct.
dog dreams and she is barking and running and she's fast asleep, so she's got some kind of subconscious thing going
Oh,
on.
look, she knows that she did bad.
Well, on a softer note, remember like Jerry said something yesterday.
We're good.
Was it the dog or something? Kind of feels something about her mother or something.
I didn't read that.
I was thinking, I'm
missed
sorry,
it.
Jerry, if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's the way I perceived it. Yeah, I think that animals can sense a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But whether they are cognizant of a lot of stuff like we are, I think that's
No,
the
I-
difference
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, between body, soul, and spirit. Because was it one of the texts says somewhere, cutting asunder
have-
soul and spirit and all that kind of
God,
stuff.
God gave us dominion over all the creatures on the earth and put them under us, so to speak. We have authority to them.
Right.
So that
Take care of
basically
them.
implies, take care of them. It's a matter of responsibility, but it primarily implies that we're above them somehow. We're in the
Exactly.
image of God. Made us in the image of. He didn't make dog in the image of God. He made man.
Right.
So yeah.
So
yeah.
you started there, right? Let us make man in our own image.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Everybody wants to say, well, that means there's 3 of them and all that
No,
kind
I
of stuff.
know.
No, I'm not going there. I'm just saying. I really think this is Ronnie again.
Sure. 27.
When God said that, 27, 28, he's probably speaking to the heavenly host or something like that. Who's
Sure.
with God? There ain't 3 or 4 or 5 or
Hey,
6.
I've said
gods.
those same words when I'm talking to myself sometime about, building something or
Yeah.
doing some project. What
Yeah.
are we doing here? I'll be by myself, I'm not saying that's what it means, but I'm
No,
just saying.
but don't you think?
It's not that big of a deal.
Don't we try to put everything in our own context?
Sure.
And but how else can we do it? When I teach safety courses for companies, I have to put the words in a context those people I'm teaching can understand.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm wasting my time.
That's right.
Because they don't get it. I think some stuff in the Bible, because of translational issues, because of baggage we've had, we have trouble understanding.
And you're
Yes,
right, man.
absolutely.
Man, controlling, trying to put, different words in here to make it fit their agenda, so on and so forth. We know, if we study it a little bit, we can come up with all kinds of stuff there.
Well,
Is it corrupted? I don't know.
yeah, you look at the, you touched on something there that people want something they can relate to. Well, in the wilderness, the Israelites had come out of Egypt. So they had seen a lot of
Fresh
gold,
in their mind.
a lot of gold, a lot of tapestries, a lot of all this. Maybe that's another reason that Jehovah, in his wisdom, was very specific too in building this with gold and precious things, and then,
Some platinum.
but to put it where the rubber hits the road, the gifts from the heart. That is key. That is so key. That differentiates
Oh, yeah.
his plan, his sanctuary, his whatever from the world.
Well, didn't one of the writers or somebody say that when they left Egypt, they took a lot of stuff with them?
Oh yeah, they spoiled the Egyptians.
No, they took them all with them.
jewelry, gold.
That was also
All
in
that.
the-
They gave to
one
us
of
to
the
get 'em.
writings from it's in London, in a museum there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Egyptian scribes wrote that down.
Wow.
About the Exodus.
They took
Yeah,
all the stuff
they
with
took
them.
our stuff.
Well, they just didn't take it.
They gave it to them.
They gave
They
it
gave
to
it to
yeah,
them. Get out of here.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, here, take the necklaces, take
What
the
do you
earrings,
want?
take
Well, give me that
everything, go.
ring. Here, take the
Go.
necklace too.
Yeah, because of the
And there's-
plagues.
They
There's a
lost their
tablet that's
sons, you know,
down
their
in
children
the,
were dead.
Bottom of one of the museums
Only
in
firstborn.
Cairo.
Animal.
That one of the Israeli film producers had the opportunity to get a snapshot of, and they don't bring it out, but it talks about them having Moses and all the other devils leave the country with their God. Take care of this. Get out of here. Leave us alone. And so that was the way they viewed it.
That could have been a motivation for the Pharaoh to chase after them afterwards. try
Well,
to get the gold back.
imagine the firstborn of each family in Egypt being killed in one night.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And
They were
animals.
devastated.
too.
Yeah, well, they were well, plus all the other plagues, they were devastated. And they just wanted these people to get out
According
of
to the
their
story,
business.
yeah.
But you know, a lot of these people, let's just use the terminology, hey, they got all this stuff, I'm rich, right? And now they get over here, when God needs it, what do they do? Willingly, like Sherry said.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, I was rich yesterday, but I'm gonna give it all to this. Honestly, they may not have gave 100%, but they gave it willingly with their heart, I think.
They didn't have to.
Sir,
They didn't have to.
they didn't have to.
It wasn't like they were slaves.
No, they were they were no longer slaves. Moses did not command them to do it. You just gotta read what the text really says compared to what translators say.
And Aaron helped them out.
Yep.
And then, so I'm like you, the chronology, golden calf came later, right?
Yeah, it's later.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, what, 7 or 8 chapters
The
later?
ones that didn't willingly
Something like
give it,
that.
they.
But this,
Well, it's an interesting subject. I mean, I briefly read through this, you know, I don't study like I should or normal people do or whatever. I don't really dwell into the text real hard, but, it's an interesting subject. You know, religion is basically how I would phrase this, the study of religion, so to speak, you know.
Study of Jehovah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
or just study of the words, you
Study the
know,
word, yeah.
and the
But
concepts.
One of the things I think is interesting is we were talking about Job earlier, is that all trials and tribulations. So in modern times, we took that and we changed the pronunciation and called it a job.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know what derivation that the term job comes from other than that. I'm sure it comes from something.
Yeah. You writing the questions down over here, Sherry?
I'm just, for my later studying, what Leslie said about
Get it all.
the
Soul and
three,
spirit.
really only two in Hebrew.
I don't do much.
Well, you know, I think there's such a
that's
deeper
what she's saying.
concept sometimes, you know, like you were talking about Kabbalistic issues.
Yeah.
You know, there's more than one side. What is, in the Kabbalistic, they talk about parties, I think is the right word, and looking at
Yeah,
a text different ways. And Ross, forgive me,
yeah.
well, I'm sorry, Ross, whatever. It is what it is, I already said it, right? But let me just say this, you know, as we get older, you know, we're gonna start looking at things differently. We're gonna start, because of our background and the foundation we've set, and we can understand this stuff later differently.
Yeah.
There'll be more illumination per se, and you can understand it better. And there's all these different writings. Like, I mean, look at all these books over here Ross has got. I've got, most of all the same things he's got. But the thing about there are opinions, there's
Commentary.
commentary. I mean, look at Dr. Tate, all the stuff he writes and all that stuff. It's based upon their opinions and research and everything like that.
Yeah,
But the thing about it is nobody's got it all together.
right.
We're still working on it, trying to understand it in ours, because like whether Mark may be on a ladder and he's on the 100th rung and I'm on the 10th rung, well, it doesn't make any difference. We're on the
Yeah.
ladder.
Going up, that's what,
Yeah.
that's what counts,
You
not
know,
going down.
The, the thing is, like we were talking today, Brother Baden, coming down here, what Jeremiah 6:16?
Yeah.
The
Stand in
old
way,
path, which is
yeah,
the right way and all that kind of good stuff. What's the right way? Or the good way?
the good way.
The good way. That's my understanding. That was before a lot of organized religions came around. The old path would be further back somewhere. So it goes back maybe to Abraham.
Yeah, and you look at scriptures and the Torah especially, and you see that term the way. When they were walking in the way, and it's a path. It's a way of living, and that's what I think. Not religion that we are studying. We are looking for the good way, the path
Right.
that Jehovah leads to life. It leads to life.
And then.
That's what Mary said.
And then at some point, we'll all know the right from wrong, the path.
Yes.
You
Or
are
the
right.
teachers.
We will know what's right or wrong.
Well, a lot of that too is pointed out,
Yeah.
and for me, the clearest place that's pointed out is Deuteronomy.
Okay.
And God told Moses to make it plain to the people.
Right.
In other words, don't make it confusing, make it so that the most simplest one among them can understand.
That's so
That's
true.
right.
And so when you read through Deuteronomy,
Oh, no, we gotta
a lot
make
of
it
it-
tough
a lot
so
of that's
everybody
just
can't do
simple
it.
and straightforward. and
Sure it is.
Now, obviously,
Only
we all don't
few.
have fields and everything, but the concept
Give 'em
Yeah.
gold.
is that you give a portion to the poor.
Yeah.
You keep aside a portion for those that are less fortunate. You help out a stranger that has, all that is there, and it's not mystical or complicated.
Right.
It's just, it's real easy to understand.
Oh yeah.
And so you can either go with it or not.
Yeah.
Looked around, there was nobody else around. Simple, it's simple.
And when you first start reading and learning, some of it is a little bit hard to get used to. I know in my particular case, chapter 14 of Deuteronomy is one of the toughest ones there was. So I eventually had to give up all that crawfish and shrimp and all that good stuff and find new and innovative ways to eat. And but the thing is, it's all pretty simple stuff. Who's to say? The manufacturer, if you buy a car and the manufacturer says you need to use 5-weight oil only in that engine, and you don't, let's say you go to a heavier oil and all your ports plug up and the engine's not working properly. Well, all the stuff that we're supposed to not eat or eat, it's okay to eat or not to eat. If you eat the stuff that you're not supposed to, who's to say that down the road somewhere in your life, there's not repercussions
And
from eating those
consequences.
things?
Yeah.
Not necessarily that it's bad right now, but maybe there's something that our medical science and we don't even know about yet
Yeah.
Right.
that is a catalyst to Alzheimer's or whatever
Sure.
that is found in that particular
yeah.
food that we're not
Or-
supposed to
Or
eat.
those, all those aluminum pots that Mama
Or-
cooked in the 50s and the
Well,
60s
we can,
and the
we're always liable to
70s.
get into something new and innovative, that's for
Aluminum.
sure.
Or simply, it's just simply a matter of obedience. I don't do this, don't do it.
Well,
No
there's that-
particular reason.
There's that, but there's that too.
It's just a matter of obedience.
But I'm pretty sure that he didn't go through all of that just for obedience. He
No,
probably,
no.
these are manufacturers' recommendations.
I have a
I
question.
mean, I don't know.
How many unkosher animals do they bring inside the temple?
Inside the temple.
Well, when? When?
Well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Right? What did they, okay, let's ask this question. did they use unkosher animals
Oh,
for
no,
sacrifices?
No. No,
Uh,
and unblemished,
Maybe.
What
I'd have
day?
to go
Which
maybe.
one?
no.
I'd have to go maybe.
They may have, I don't remember one in reading.
I remember they had to be without spot and blemish
Well,
and so on and so
that's-
forth, but I think that maybe it wasn't brought into the temple, but basically to sacrifice and use it a feast or something. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'd have to check.
Well, there's,
Speaking out of
I did
turn
a
here,
study one
sorry.
time, and a lot of the different things, whether it's a turtle dove or one thing,
Well, yeah,
there's
yeah.
everything from a wood offering, there's a flower offering, all these different
The
things,
meal
and there's
offering,
different
yeah,
purposes for
yeah.
all these things, you know. But there's always this issue, like,
Mar-
I think, did you say
Miriam
something
says
today
never,
about there was,
never. I'll go with you.
shellfish in some kind of medication or something today, Brother Beatty?
Yeah,
Cod liver oil.
shrimp and.
Yeah, there's some kind of medication there. It comes from shrimp. They use
I got
for
you.
shrimp.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
my
doubt
goodness.
it. I don't
Yeah.
doubt it.
Well, look at the tzatzit. They said the dye was made from that snail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
That blue gives off
Yeah.
that blue dye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
not
that's not
kosher.
But,
Yeah, but
but you're not eating it. You're not
Yeah,
eating
well,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was used for a purpose, per se, but it wasn't part of that sacrifice there. That, you know, the blood was on the altar and stuff like that's what I'm looking at. So like, even though I mentioned it, you know, it talks about in the writings of James or John, whoever, you know, where your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit per se. And what we take in. You know, and that's a struggle. And I know that it took, hey, John, it took me a while to handle all that stuff. You know, because I like shrimp. I want to go on crawfish, you know, but I like my
Yeah.
catfish and all that kind of stuff.
Or like Leslie says, or if you grew up on a seacoast fishing port like I did, and if you, lobster
Oh,
and
yeah.
crab.
Oh, yeah. You
all that.
learn,
Yeah.
but there I see people that are eating differently. I mean, look, I just had a lifestyle change here recently because of this heart issue that I ran into, and I'm going like, even the stuff I was eating, I'm looking at it differently.
Yeah.
For more vegetables and other things like that, you know, I should eat more heart healthy.
Yeah.
I just ate before because that's what I like to eat, you know, within reason, of course. But I just had to make decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, said even a kosher animal could have a blemish.
Yeah, because I mean, she
Yeah.
answered my question. I wasn't real sure of that, but never was the answer. How many unclean animals are allowed in the temple for sacrifice or whatever?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
answer, her answer is never.
Yeah, I don't remember ever reading about that.
I wasn't sure. I seem to recall maybe they could.
Now, there's blemished animals, but they're not unkosher.
I got you.
You can have
That's
a cow
probably what it is. I don't know.
that has
Yeah.
a spot where
Yeah.
you can't use it for the sacrifice, right?
Or the red heifer thing.
The red heifer, yeah, especially that. You see, there's another one born the other day, you know, that supposedly.
really?
They,
Yeah,
they got to inspect that
Wow.
baby.
yeah.
I'm just wondering if they're genetically cheating.
We don't
So-
want to stress the cow out.
Well,
So
Stress
speaking
the
of
cow out, you'll have to get a white
clean,
hair.
unclean animals, I mean, this is a whole different subject to study here, but you gotta ask, why did God tell Noah, bring 7 of the clean, 7 pairs
so.
instead of
Takes a
just
while to get a
one?
baby
okay,
going.
instead of having 2 pairs,
Yeah,
you had the 7.
yeah.
Right? And so now one author made the comment, well, if they have more of the kosher, so when they go to sacrifice, you'll have more
I've heard
available
that, I've heard it, yeah.
for them. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to sacrifice the other ones.
I'd have to look at it, I mean, the 7 might be.
But to think about this,
than
of the
the number.
7, you'll have more
don't know.
chance for blemishes. So you may only of the 7, you may only have 1 or 2 that you could pull from that would not be. I mean, there's a lot of rationale there, common sense too. We have to look at.
Yep.
You know, that's a subject for.
Yeah, he studied the priesthood and the prophethoods and how that separates and became an argument.
But let me say something from a
One
safety
for
standpoint.
sacrifice, one not for sacrifice.
You know, like clams and oysters and stuff like that. You remember when the Katrina? Everything went down in the Gulf. They said, "Don't eat the seafood." Why?
Yep, yep,
Why? Because all the contaminants are in there, right?
yeah, yeah.
That, are you also thinking of the, what was it, the oil spill?
The oil spill. Well, that too.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
know, everything goes in
What's the
there.
name of that?
The stuff that lives on the bottom gets all the junk.
Yeah.
BP oil
Yeah.
spill, yeah.
So they're eating all this stuff, and then you have a greater chance of getting some hepatitis.
And
What-
meningitis, yeah,
From
all that stuff.
The stuff that's on the bottom.
Yeah,
Bottom dwellers, whether it's catfish or it's lobster, we don't have
Well,
lobster
keep
down
the
here.
water
Shrimp.
clean.
yeah.
What?
They keep the.
Well,
catfish
shrimp
good.
is not necessarily a bottom feeder.
No, but it moves around, but it
But
eats
they
a lot
eat-
of the,
Whales eat a lot of
They
shrimp.
eat
out
the
there.
waste.
yeah.
Well, whales are
Well, look at flounders. Flounders on the bottom,
Oh,
but they're
yeah.
kosher.
cleaners.
Yeah.
I like to refer to all as cleaners.
Cleaners, yeah.
The filter animals.
Pigs or cleaners.
Yeah.
They
The whales
use them in the
are
dumps and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
can't eat the waste.
What you said, what we've gone
cleaners.
from an hour ago almost to now. Where we are. There's so much stuff to discuss, and like
Oh, I
Miriam
know.
said, I wish we could do this more than once a week. Yeah, it'd be great, right?
Yeah, we do it every day.
That's
Will we
something
hear
we gotta
tomorrow?
go to work.
Yeah.
Well, Miriam,
Good
that's,
job.
that's where,
Yeah, no,
if we keep to
make fun
studying
of you.
Torah alongside our brothers Judah, like the readings for each week, then when we come together, we have something to share. I really feel that it's important, I do, to read the Torah portions ahead of time. And then when we get together,
Have commonality.
we do, and we have more to discuss. And that's what happened, you brought my name up a lot today, but it was because I had looked at the Torah portion and I saw some of the same things you saw.
Yes, he was trying to ask me these questions last night. I said, well, just wait till Ronnie preaches.
Don't depend always on Ronnie.
He did not say
I know
that.
what I know, but that's
He
all I
did
know.
not say that.
You know. But it's good. Anything else, gang?
Nothing wrong with a
That's
sense of
it.
humor, I'm sorry.
That's it.
Any
That
more
was
questions
good.
out there,
That was
guys?
good.
Yeah.
Well, I have one. You're having some kind of surgery coming up?
Okay, I'll let you know on March 9th, I'm getting a cath. They do run some tests. They say I got some blockage, He wasn't really majorly concerned. We want to see what's going on, because if it was really bad, they would have not even let me leave.
Right.
Haven't had any shortness of breath, hadn't had any pain, anything
Right.
like that, but just standard tests.
Okay.
And so I'm almost 70.
Well, good.
You got some blockage, Ronnie. We know it's there. We're gonna go look at it. So I appreciate your prayers. 11 o'clock on March 9th. Just whatever y'all can do, I appreciate it. And, we'll go from there and just see. I don't feel bad about it. My wife doesn't feel bad. We get good feelings about everything. So I pray I'll, take about a week to recover. After that,
Yeah.
we'll be rocking and rolling.
Is that a heart cath? or
It's heart
clear?
cath, yeah. Yeah, he just says be ready to spend the night, stuff like that. He said, if we see something, we're gonna put a stent. He didn't say anything about anything else than that,
Yeah.
so I feel real good about it.
The technology
Yeah.
today,
It's so good.
the Almighty gave us, how did Abraham Lincoln put that? He gave us the capacity to grasp the infinite.
Yes,
And so we have the power within us that was granted to us to learn and achieve and to go beyond where we came from.
say that
Yeah.
again. Say that again, John. I wanna make sure everybody hears that.
Yeah, wait, let me turn it up.
We have the power within us to go beyond where we came from, to become greater than we were.
Yes,
And like everything else in this universe, you can use power for good or for evil.
Yes.
It's a choice. So the things that are good that we have done as humans, one of them is acquire more and more knowledge of the universe, the world, our world around us, all kinds of different things. 100 years ago, with my back condition or with your heart replacement, it wasn't
Right,
done. It
right,
just wasn't done. You
right.
die or you become an invalid.
right, right.
It's just the way it was. And so today, you go to the hospital, and yeah, there's some, some effort and all that, but you get to walk away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
And those are the fruits of the ability to grasp the infinite as we go forward. And part of it is learning the scriptures and becoming more in tune with the Creator. So, you know, all of that, where we are today is an incredible place. But again, when you look around the world, there's a lot of evil out there too. There are bad things. I think
Yes,
it's
there are.
phenomenal that you can look and see that, like the researchers in Israel say, in a few weeks, they're gonna have a serum for the coronavirus. That's amazing.
I look at it this way, it's like, we kinda get a grasp of the advances medical science has made in the last 100 years. I'm just using that number because it's easier to say. Think about the next 100 years.
That's what I'm thinking, same
Yeah.
thing.
All the
Think about it.
technological things that have happened too. I mean, we're sitting here communicating with people around the
And
planet.
that's not saying God's not in control anymore,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
man's
but we're
taking
sitting
over. I'm
here,
not
we've
saying
got-
that at all.
We've got these laptops smoking and the camera
Yeah.
going, and
Yeah.
people all over the world are have the ability to listen to us, and we can interact with them. You know, a couple hundred years ago, we'd have been tied to a stake and burned for that.
But John, I take the same thing you just said. Look at that in the
That's true.
knowledge
That's true.
of that. But think about the illumination of God that we're gonna get within the next 100 years.
That's right.
Yes.
And how we can grow and be more illuminated and understand more exactly what Jehovah Elohim wants
Yes.
for us.
Yes.
I can feel that. I'm
Yes.
sorry. That's just me.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
it.
We just need to make sure
I
that
like it.
the good continues to outweigh the bad.
Yeah.
I did want to mention, Miriam said a little while ago, Mark, I would like to thank Mark for all your behind-the-scenes
Y'all
work you
keep
do
talking,
for
Kane's not
us
gonna come back.
that we had no awareness of, even despite of your past health issues.
That's good, I like being.
Much
unaware.
love to you, my dear brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Miriam, but I don't do much behind the scenes, it's all just a-
But it's always
show.
that little bit. I don't care if it's a little bit. Everybody does a part.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That's right.
All right, gang. That's it. Y'all want to call it a day?
Yeah,
Shabbat
it was a
shalom,
good
everybody.
But
Yeah.
Thank you
Shabbat
for
Good
listening.
time.
Glad I got to see my family.
yes, thank you so much.
You
I
tried.
love y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all are awesome.
Make it that wonderful meal.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh,
Thanks,
you're
Sarah, yeah.
welcome.
I want some chili next week now.
Hopefully in the next week or two, I'll be able to attend temple again with
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
Well, good.
All right.
pushing forward.
All right. Tell us when we're off there, Dave.
I'm waiting.
Listen, you heavens, and I will speak. Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. For they will fall as rain from the sky and as dew on the grass.